six-pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dashers Podcast. Grab a six-pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dashers Podcast. Grab a six-pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dashers Podcast. Grab a six-pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dashers Podcast. Sit back to the back of the back of the grab a six-pack, sit back to the back of the back of the grab a six-pack, sit back to the back of the back of the grab a six-pack, sit back to the back of the back of the grab a six-pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dashers Podcast. Grab a six-pack, sit back and prepare to laugh. It's Drunk Dashers Podcast. Grab a six-pack, sit back and prepare to laugh.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 238 of the Drunk Dashers Podcast. I'm your host, as always. I am Tyler, and joining me, we have the man, the myth, the legend, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good, Tyler. I gotta say, man, it's like this is still kind of like interesting to me just to hear the name, just to hear the number of the episode. You know, it's like we're already 200 some episodes inside, and it's just fascinating to me.
Yeah. 238, still going strong.
I know. And this week is no different than any other. That's to be perfectly honest with you. But I'll say this, though, man. It's like I have been really engrossed in trying to collect things for the PlayStation 3. Yesterday I did a little bit of searching around for GameStop. Even though I did pick up the usual things that would release around this time. The new Pokemon game, Ultra Sun. While I was looking through PS3 stuff, I stumbled across a NES Classic used at GameStop for about $60. And obviously, I picked that sucker up.
As you do.
Yeah, that's just the thing, man. It's like, we all know by now the whole spiel. When the NES Classic released, there was very limited quantities. People were buying them and selling them on sites like Craigslist, eBay's for like double, triple the price of what it was. But ironically enough, I timed it just right to where it was my payday. I was going into GameStop anyway to check to see if I could find a decent game, which I just picked up Ultra Sun, Pokemon Ultra Sun, you know. Then all of a sudden I randomly see an NES Classic. It's like, and the best part about it is that thing came in literally within the past couple days. So, oh man, I'll tell you one thing, man. It's like my brother, he definitely loves playing stuff like this, and it was pretty much bought with his with his interests in mind. So that was definitely a feel-good moment, especially over the months that I've been trying to search for that darn thing for him. But on another front, going back towards today and stuff, I went also to check out for some PS3 stuff, and I ended up picking up like about $50 worth of PS3 games, which a lot of which were like about $5, $6 or something. They're still having this like big sale in my pawn shop where it's like 20% off like 360 and PS3 games and stuff. So I picked up some of the usual suspects, including a couple of third-party games that you could probably get on the PS4 or anywhere else if you wanted to. But they were dirt cheap, so I decided to pick them up anyway. So as of this moment, I picked up all 3 of the Resistance games. These games I never even played, hardly, except for like the first one. So I picked up Resistance 1, 2, and 3. I rebought Infamous, the original Infamous. I'm happy. I'm happy to have bought that. That game is enjoyable. It's also one of the first games I actually played from Sucker Punch. The next one is The Last of Us, which I personally have went on record as saying on the podcast before that I probably didn't want to replay that game again, but, well, I guess I made myself a liar out of that time, so I'm probably going to be playing through that game sometime within the next, month or two, who knows. I picked up Dishonored for $5, which, hey, I had all the other DLC for the game itself, so all I was missing was the actual physical disc. So I picked it up for dirt cheap. I actually picked up oh gosh, what was the game that I picked up Far Cry 3. I don't know why that took me a little bit. But Far Cry 3 was a game I tried out on the PS3 when I first had it, but with my interest in the PS3 waning at that point, I just didn't go ahead and finish it. So the common theme for these pickups are games that I had probably not even finished before, that I want to go ahead and just say, hey, you know what? I got this PS3. There are a lot of great games I can buy for dirt cheap. Let's go ahead and see what I can find. So Fallout 3 was another one. But the number one game that I picked up out of this potential haul was the original Nier. Now, Nier is it's actually considered a underrated game for the PlayStation 3. It's also considered probably one of the better games for the system. And another common thing about it is I have never played it, nor have I beaten it. But it's a prequel game to a game released this year, Nier Automata. So I want to play this game before playing Nier Automata. So this is definitely one of the main reasons why I ended up buying this PS3 to begin with, because I wanted to play certain games that were not available on the PS4. Other than that, though, everything else during the week has been busy, more so than normal, since Black Friday, as of this recording, is over a week from now, at least 6 days or so. So everything else is just falling into place to where, hey, there's sales going on, there's a bunch of games to be played, there's a bunch of work to be done, plus Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. Some motherfucking turkey, dude.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah. Ham, turkey, rolls. Oh, God. Hawaiian rolls. Ugh.
It just kind of makes me wonder, Tyler. It's like, do you got a good Thanksgiving memory?
I mean, not really. I mean, I don't have any. We don't, Thanksgiving. We when I was younger, we used to have a lot of bigger get-togethers, but we never really did anything spectacular other than going over the aunt, uncle's, grandpa, grandma's house or whatever, and eat a bunch of food, watch football. What about you?
Yeah, that's definitely the type of thing I would generally do, dude. That's just last year it was like, I woke up, I woke up, I watched some bits of football, I ate some turkey. I played with my turkey before I ate it.
You shouldn't play with your food.
Yeah, I know, right? But, you know what? It was really relaxing last year. And, let's see, I remember there being a time, during Thanksgiving, where we actually went to a restaurant. We ate some bits of food during that year, but it really wasn't that memorable. Good. So that's why after that year, we decided to make our own shit.
Yeah.
But, anyway, though, it's how have you been doing, Tyler?
It's been a crazy week at the Tyler household. Gonna bring it down for a little bit here. Unfortunately, this past Monday, my grandpa passed away. Oh. So it's my mom's dad. So it's been a rough week for everybody. It was nice that my work was really understanding of it and let me have the time I needed for everything. A lot of long days. It's kind of been a fog of a week, like I said, it's been long days, but it's been a blur at the same time. And I was thinking, a lot about it, about him. And it was crazy when I was thinking about when I was a kid in my childhood, because my parents were young when they had me. My mom was 17, my dad was 18. I'm getting a little personal here. But when you're younger, you spend your parents are a bit of a part of yours. You spend a lot of time at the grandparents' houses, and I spent a lot of time back in the day at his house, at all my grandparents' house, but his especially. And I remember, I've talked about a few times in the past on this show that my other grandpa that passed away in I think 2001, and when he passed away, I got his PlayStation. That's where I found Metal Gear, and I always talk about how Pokemon Yellow and Metal Gear Solid 1 were the games that got me into gaming. And I think back to when I was a kid, when I was 7, 8, 9 years old. I used to go over to his place a lot, and he was a retired cop, and he would play Super Nintendo a lot, and he had like the PlayStation. Like, we didn't have the PlayStation back then. He had the PS2 on launch day. We didn't have a PS2 back then,
Holy
and,
shit!
Yeah, and but it was crazy. Like, we used to do this pawn shop that I think it was like I don't even know if it's still around or what it was called or whatever, but he used to go there a lot. I think it was like a popular pawn shop for cops and stuff to go to.
Oh.
And he bought me my first Game Boy,
Oh.
and that's the Game Boy I got, the next year I got Pokemon Yellow with. And I used to go over to his place all the time, spend a night there when my parents went out, and I would play. Him and I'd be up till I fell asleep playing Super Mario World. I remember back in the day we got to like World 7. I think it's World 6 or 7 that we get to the Lost Woods. And we never could figure out the secret to get to the next world. And playing the shit ton of Addams Family on Super Nintendo. That's a bad game. But back then I used to love it. And yeah, it was. He bought my first Super Nintendo. I'm just tying this all in the gaming, but it's just crazy to think that that my two grandfathers were kind of the people that shaped me most into really kind of not to who I am. As far as like the thing I love the most to do, video games. The reason I'm here, the reason I talk to a lot of people I talk to, is really because of them. I thought it was kind of cool when I was thinking about that. It's like, holy shit, like stuff you just don't realize, when they're around, until they're no longer around, and just things like that. But yeah, it's been a rough week. Other than that, yeah, I don't really know how to segue out of that. Sorry about that, guys.
Well, Tyler, look at it this way. You had a great amount of time with both of your grandfathers. Mm-hmm. I'll just say this, man. It's like, at least you had the time, you had the opportunity, and inside the span of your life where you got to know both of them and enjoyed some fabulous memories of them. I mean, it's a lot better than just, like, say, never meeting them or, like, hardly ever spending time or anything with them.
Yeah.
I know that personally, for myself, because both my grandfathers died before, like, I even had a chance to get to know them, So it's like my grandfather on my mom's side, he passed away from cancer, like around when I was like, 6 months old or something like that. Then I had my other grandfather on my dad's side. He passed on from dementia and stuff, and it's like, I understand, like, how you're feeling in terms of, like, the personal loss and stuff, but that's like what I say, man. You just enjoy the time that you have with your family, because I know, personally, for a fact, it's like, I know, it's like, they're not going to be around forever, so it's like, this little things, like, say, playing games or something with them, or, like, it's just enjoying some, like, just personal moments or something from your life and stuff. That's just what keeps you going, It's like the personal memories,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna cherish those times. It was just kind of like tying into, I guess, the show. It was just kind of like those two people made a huge effect on me as who I am, and the thing I do the most in this world. But yeah, let's do a not so subtle segue out of that into kind of the real reason we're really here. But I mean, to jump back, it's just like. Real quick, I'm sorry again, but it's just with everything going on this week, it's like you realize more and more like why I like doing this show, and the reason you do it. It's just like it gives you a break. I get this bullshit about video games for an hour and a half every week with one or two of my best friends in this whole world. Thank you, Gables, for doing this with me every week for almost 5 years now.
Oh, you're welcome. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. Cheers to you, buddy. And I get to drink some beer. Justin, when he's here, when he's able to. I know he's busy, but he's not here, by the way. Yeah, it's just I was really happy to get back into doing the show this weekend. I was like, I really need to do the show, kind of get back to some normalcy and just get away from the bullshit for a while. So it was, So episode 238, 4.5 years in. And now more than ever, I look back and I'm like, yeah, I'm glad we did this. We're still doing this show. Anyways, jumping back into the real reason we're here to talk about some of the games and some of the games we've been playing. I'm going to let you go ahead, Gables, because the game I've been playing this week is going to tie into some of our news. So
No problem. All right. Well, the games that I have really been playing this week, let's see, other than being busy for most of it, I didn't really have a chance to get in depth with playing a single game up until like around Friday. So, quintessentially yesterday. Like I said before, I picked up Pokemon Ultra Sun. I have at least played at least 3 hours of it, if I'm not mistaken. So, from the get-go, I already know what to expect from, say, Pokemon Sun and Moon, in general. So, with the release of Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, the game definitely does feel familiar to the past couple games. But at the same time, I am noticing from my initial gameplay, my first impressions of the game, that there are subtle differences, and there definitely are tie-ins that are different than Pokemon Sun and Moon. For example, not like when during the first area of this game, the background graphics are a little bit more flushed out, a little bit more brighter in terms of scenery. Kind of like, for example, when you notice like some of the cutscenes, some of the backgrounds of the trees and stuff are a little bit more colorful. Things are a little bit more brighter as of which and stuff. To be perfectly honest with you, the game really does look better. They definitely, Game Freak in general, I felt pushed the 3DS hardwares to its absolute limits with this game. It's kind of amazing to think back to when they first released Pokemon X and Y back around 2013, that they thought that was pretty much as they thought they can get out of the 3DS up until they went through Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, and then quintessentially with Sun and Moon respectively. So now with the release of Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, they have not only topped some of the graphical prowess that they've done with Sun and Moon like a year earlier, but they definitely have included like more interesting aesthetic overlays to some various portions of the game menus. Like, for example, when you go and you pop up the game menu, right, by pressing the X button, you'll automatically see some new overlays for some options. They give that sort of like Hawaiian feel to the Alola region, which that's largely where the game's based out of anyway. Pretty much the Pokemon version of Hawaii. But gameplay-wise, there definitely isn't too much change. It's quintessentially the same as Sun and Moon. You're basically going through, like, getting your starter, going through the couple things. You're still doing, like, the island trials, facing off against captains and such. But what is different from what I've noticed, there are different types of Pokemon that you encounter a lot earlier inside the game. And there are some from past games that have made it in as sort of like secret type of characters to start off with. Like, for example, in the original Sun and Moon, when I went through my playthroughs, let's see, there are certain Pokemon like Abra and like Makuhita that you can encounter a little bit earlier on inside the game that I've noticed. There's also other types of varieties of Pokemon of different types. Like, there's some like extra flying types, extra like water, psychic, different types of Pokemon in general. From my initial play, it's barely been like a couple hours inside my gameplay, and I've already caught like about 15, 16 different types of Pokemon. And what I've been finding out is there are some that I've caught for the first time that have certain hidden abilities and definitely have like certain positive, beneficial natures this time around. I'm not too sure if it's just my luck of the draw with capturing some of them and all of a sudden getting some of these things which are beneficial. But the reason why I say that is I caught a Pikipek towards the beginning of the game, and Pikipek has one of two abilities. The second ability is sort of like a hidden one. It's called Skill Link. Now, what Skill Link is an ability which allows you to hit, if you learn a move that hits multiple times, say like Bullet Seed, Bullet Seed is a move to where it's a grass type move that hits between 2 to 5 times, and each time it hits like a quarter of damage or something like that. But with Skill Link, it guarantees you to hit all of those shots. So quintessentially, what would have been a 2 to 5 hit move guarantees to be a 5 hit move, and it breaks up abilities, say like Sturdy and stuff, and some other different types of stuff. But that's enough about the whole like in-depth sort of things of that. But overall, Pokemon Ultra Sun has been it's been okay so far. It's been really like kind of like average in comparison to so far. There are some things that are new that have been introduced, but at the same time, it's nothing like too much different from Sun and Moon from last year. Now, I'm waiting until I get further into the game to give like more of my impressions of it, and I do know the post game is going to be a lot better in comparison to Sun and Moon. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been playing. So Tyler, you go on ahead.
All right, cool. All right, I was going to ask you if you thought like the differences are so far, I guess, but you're still early on. I was curious if the differences were enough to make it worth it, but
that's just the thing, though. It's like I said before, Tyler. I'm 3 hours in. I am still deciding upon certain party members to put upon my team, which I am very close. Actually, I think I am very close to figuring out what my team's going to be right now, this early on in the game.
Yeah.
So that's obviously a plus, considering my playthroughs of Pokemon Diamond and then Pokemon Gold and stuff earlier on this year. It's like I struggle up until the very last portions of those games just deciding upon team members.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, man, I'll definitely have more for the next week.
Yeah, I feel like this is kind of your Madden in a way. Like
it is.
Or to some people, it's like it's the same game every year, but to you, you're gonna notice the subtle differences to make this game a little more worth it to you.
Well, yeah, exactly. Every person has that one game they want to play every year in order to get the most out of it because they keep finding something enjoyable. Like, for example, you have Madden. There are certain people that play Call of Duty every year. Some people that play the Assassin's Creed games every year, too. And then there's people like me that like to play Pokemon games, like, every year, sometimes multiple times in a year.
Yeah. True. Very true. No, that's cool, man. I'm curious to hear what you say about that part. About the differences. But I've been playing. I'm playing more Assassin's Creed. I'm about 19, 20 hours into it.
Wow.
But not too much more to add. More to last week. I'm continuing playing it. I haven't played it much this week. Like Gables, really haven't had time to game. Up until really yesterday as well. I redboxed. I did not buy. I redboxed Star Wars Battlefront 2. Strictly for the game campaign. It's something I've talked about before. My plan for a long time is if I was able to, I'm just going to redbox it and play through the campaign. And did that. I finished it this afternoon. It probably took me a little under 5 hours, 4.5 hours maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not super long. But man, during this whole campaign, I have struggled with. I can't tell if I like it or not. So.
Okay, just tell us about the basics of how this campaign is structured then.
Yeah, so the whole part of it is you play as, I think, Iden, and she is a commander for the Empire. And it's something like they've been pushing from the very beginning about this game is you're going to be on the Empire, and what happened to the Empire after episode 6. So it starts off with you with the second Death Star being destroyed. So it's on the Battle of Endor, which is the very last part of episode 6, and it's supposed to deal with what happened to the Empire after the basically the rebellion won essentially. And I'm like, that's a really kind of cool not a premise, something we haven't really seen before in Star Wars really discovered or talked about. And I'm going to spoil the shit out of this game because it doesn't matter. All right, so if you don't want to if you're worried about spoilers, I guess skip for like 5 minutes, but there's not much to spoil here. So about an hour into it, that goes to shit, and all of a sudden, like your main character, all of a sudden she's like, "Oh, I don't like what you're doing now, so I'm gonna join the rebellion." And she joins the rebellion, and her dad's like the admiral who's basically running the empire now. And
Okay.
like the whole story from the very get go, like is just nonsense. Like it is like Michael Bay esque, like bullshit.
Oh no.
Like they don't like I don't get me wrong, the acting and everything like that, the motion capture, all of that is fantastic. It looks great, they sound great, the actors are great, but the story is bullshit. Like, and there's okay, so I'm gonna skip ahead to the end here. So like it's a 4-hour campaign. There's maybe about 20 minutes of cutscenes, and there's this other person. So there's 3 of you in this crew. You're the Inferno squad. You're like the top squad in the Empire, and 2 of you switch sides. You and Dell, and then the other guy, I think Hask is his name. He's like the main bad guy, but you see him for like a whole like fucking 10 minutes throughout the game, so he doesn't really feel like a bad guy. Yeah, it's dumb. But like there's been like no hint of anything between Dell and your main character Aiden through the entire game, and all of a sudden in the second to last cutscene of the game, all of a sudden like there's supposed to be like this relationship here, and they hint at like the fact that like he's like she goes up for the last mission, which is the battle for Jakku, and they're like he's like don't die, but he says it in like a very like don't like I love you kind of way. And then the last cutscene of the game, the second, so I'm sorry, that was the third to last cutscene. The second to last cutscene is after they both survive. Spoilers. She kisses him, or they kiss each other, whatever. And I'm just like, what did this doesn't make this doesn't make any sense. Dude, there is no foreshadowing at all in this entire, like it's just like they just did shit to make shit. Like it was just like they're writing scenes like out of order. It's like, we'll fill in the gaps later, and they just never did. And that's just the story. That's like the least amount of problems with this game, other than the story. I had to write notes because this game.
You wrote notes.
There's notes, guys. This game fucking sucks. You hear paper? I wrote them down. Oh, I literally took a
this
pencil.
game pissed you off that you actually wrote down notes.
I wrote down notes because I don't want to miss a fucking thing. Okay. First off, every single level you play on takes place on a multiplayer map.
Okay.
So that's stupid. That's in the scheme of things not a big deal.
Okay, so that's like taken out of the original Titanfall. Go on.
Well, original Titanfall didn't have a campaign though. It was just.
But the fact of the matter is, it's campaign maps. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the campaign was the online. So throughout the game, like about half of the game, you don't even get to play as these characters.
Okay.
Don't even play as them. You play as the heroes of the game. So this entire game, this campaign, is basically just like, hey, play the multiplayer, guys, because that's all it is. So like, and like giving you teases and little shit for playing to unlock the heroes in the game, so you can buy loot boxes, so you can unlock those heroes. Excuse me. So like every 2 levels, you play as like a hero. You play as Luke Skywalker in one level. You play as Han Solo. You play as Kylo Ren. Spoiler alert for that one. And Lando Calrissian and Leia. And they don't make any sense to the story. Like it's forced, and it's just like all of a sudden there's a cutscene of one of them, and you're playing as them, and only Billy D. Williams came back for the voice. Everybody else is different people. So it's super obvious that these are not like it's pretty bad voice acting. Comparative, like there's no way you're gonna replace those voices, but it sucks. And then like so you're playing as Luke Skywalker, okay? Luke fucking Skywalker, and you want to know what you do for like the entire mission? You hack and slash flying bugs. That's all it is with your lightsaber. I'm Luke Skywalker, and I'm hacking and slashing bugs, flying beetles. That's it.
No force powers. No like
you got force powers, but you're fighting bugs. You don't need force powers. You just swing. And it's just like I don't even feel like I'm like doing anything good. I feel like I'm just smashing the R2 button and like killing bugs. There's like no like skill at all in doing this, and you're just doing it for like, it's literally like a 10-minute thing where you have to protect somebody while they defuse some defense system. It sucks so bad, man. Like, and it all it is, it's just like, and it's on a multiplayer map. All it is like, hey, here's some characters you can unlock with credits or loot boxes. So here's what you can do with them if you unlock them. And then it sucks. It's boring. Like, I don't understand how you make Star Wars boring. You got these coolest characters in video games, and you make them boring. I don't understand it. And then the bugs, not the beetle bugs, actual like video game bugs. There are a plenty. Okay. I had one point in a game where I had to replay a firefight 4 times because you had to go and kill every single enemy. But one enemy would glitch and he'd fall over. I recorded this. He would fall over and he'd start twitching on the ground, but he wasn't technically dead, so I couldn't beat the level. So I had to jump I had to jump off the side of a platform and die and replay that firefight multiple times just to beat it. Yeah. And then during the cutscenes, like the entire cutscenes, all of them, they would just flicker like black, like over and over again. Like I thought I was gonna have a seizure playing this game, watching the cutscenes, because it would just happen constantly. And then like I would like, so when you're running around and you have like your character's holding a pistol, he just holds his arm straight out the entire time while he's running, and his arm will go into like whatever like he's in front of. It's like so that way your body, like your chest is pressed up against it, so like your arm will go into the wall, and then like the reticle will show like it's pointed directly at an enemy, but it's not. It's just hitting the wall. It's just hitting the wall. And that happened to me constantly. I try. You can play in first person. You can play in third person. It doesn't matter. It just does it. It doesn't matter. It's garbage. This entire game is fucking garbage. Like there's some good spots. Okay, there's some spots where I'm like, this feels like Star Wars. Like if this was like Space Wars or something, like a non-Star Wars game, this entire game is trash. But it has a Star Wars license, so there's some cool characters. There's some cool sounds. There's some cool places to go to, and you got space battles. I get to fucking fly around in a TIE fighter, an X-wing, or whatever, and it's kind of cool. Like some of the flying missions are probably the best part of that game. Like really the only good parts of that game. Man, this game, wow, it's really disappointing. Like this entire game just blows. Like I really was like, I was defending this game for months because I wanted this game. Because since E3, when like, hey guys, there's no season passes. Like, yeah, they're gonna have microtransactions, but it's just gonna be cosmetics, like Overwatch. It's gonna be cool. They're making up for it, guys. We're gonna have a campaign. They're not gonna do the bullcrap they did with the first Battlefront game, when they only had like 6 maps, and if you wanted to play the rest of the game, you had to spend an additional $50 to play. You basically had to pay $110 to play the entire game. This one, it's gonna have everything. They're gonna Splatoon 2 it, where you get some cool stuff. You're gonna get all the cool. You can get a decent amount of stuff in the beginning, but then you're gonna get all the DLC for free later. It's gonna be awesome. Oh, and I almost forgot. There's no ending to the campaign. You wanna know when you can play the ending?
Wow.
When they release it as DLC in a month. It just ends. It just ends on a teaser. And I looked it up. I'm like, that was like, because it's okay. So it takes place over a year. Like it ends a year after episode 6, and they like, you have no idea it's been a year. They just like, and like a cutscene, or like you're flying around your ship at like the third to last mission, and like, it's crazy, it's been a year, and that was it. That was how they made it. So it's been a year later. Other than that, it's just been back to back to back to back to back. There's no breathing room in between there, and all of a sudden it's been a year, guys. It's been a year since the Death Star was blown up. And so the final, after you beat the final mission, you skip, like, it says decades later, and you find one of the characters, and Kylo Ren shows up, and he kills one of the main characters from the story, and that person's now old, and like, ooh, well, we should probably do something about that, otherwise we're going to track this person, they're going to come get us, and it's like, that's exactly what I want, and then it just ends. That was it. There's no credits. It just ends. It just says Star Wars Battlefront 2. And I looked it up. They're going to finish the campaign with DLC that comes out like the week of the movie coming out. So basically it's just a way to kind of build up hype, I guess, for the movie.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Fuck this game, man. Like, and it just feels the entire campaign. And like you unlock, like you get like credits and you get shit for loot boxes and you unlock stuff for the multiplayer. Everything is just it doesn't get its chance. There's some cool concepts there on its own. Like the core, it's like a Destiny 2, just not nearly as good. Like the core concept is there. Like you got a good mechanic as far as gameplay goes. You got some pretty cool new characters. You got a good concept of the fact that you're going to play as the Empire, which sounds really cool. That's something I'm really interested in. Like, what does the Empire do after, Darth Vader and the Emperor are dead? Like, that's stuff I want to know as a Star Wars fan. And they just throw it out. Like, that was everything they teased for months since they announced this campaign. And 45 minutes in, an hour in, they just throw it out the window. And now I'm all of a sudden a good guy. And after I've killed and destroyed tons of people and worlds and ships from the rebellion, all of a sudden they're like, all right, you're cool. Like there was like a cutscene where it was like, all right, that's cool. Here's some ships. Come to help us fight this battle. Like, okay. All right. The first mission is me fake getting captured so I can get inside your ship to steal your plans. And then 6 missions later, I surrender myself so I can join your cause and you're just cool with it. I'm like, like an hour and a half ago, I just double-crossed you guys, and now you're cool with it. Like, okay, this sucks. This all sucks. It sucks. Fuck. It just sucks, Gables.
You know, the last time you were this adamant about hating a game on the podcast was Resident Evil 6.
Oh, God. There's got to be something else in there, man. Like, I can't. It might be Resident Evil 6 bad. It might be that bad. It may be
Resident Evil 6 bad. It may be that bad, huh?
It's up there. It's up there that bad.
Well, let me ask you, are there instances where ammo does not, register?
Okay. Maybe it's not that bad. But it's close. It's close. I just got flashbacks to Chris Redfield's campaign in Resident Evil 6. You're right. It's not that bad. But it's close. It's bad. It's pretty bad. I don't get how you fuck it up that bad. I don't get it. But anyways, the other thing that's shitty is when you used to beat the campaign a few days ago, you get 20,000 credits for beating the campaign. For you can take over to the multiplayer where you can unlock a loot box. You can buy loot boxes with that or buy characters or whatever. Well, now you only get 5,000 because they cut that 75%. But they didn't mention that in the press release because scrolling on over into the news, we're talking about a lot. It's been a lot of shit going on. It's been a crazy. Every day has been like every morning I wake up and look up at Twitter and it's like something crazy new has been going on with Star Wars Battlefront 2. And the game didn't officially come out until Friday, just yesterday. Yep. And every day something crazy has been going on for the last week. So like I said, you used to get 20,000, now you get 5,000. But when people started freaking out, and I think rightfully so, when people started doing some investigation on, so you can unlock heroes and villains in the multiplayer, like Darth Maul, Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, all those, Rey, and you earn credits for playing the game, and you can buy characters and lock them, and that's like your superpower move you can do in the multiplayer. Well, people figured out. So Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker cost 60,000 credits. And people figured out it takes about 40 hours on like an average game. An average game you earn about, I think it was like 250 to 300 credits per game, and it would take you about 40 hours of multiplayer game if you average that limit to unlock just one of those characters. 40 hours. Wow. Unless you bought loot boxes.
Oh no.
So the currency was called crystals, which is what you had. Crystals are what you bought with real money. So the makeup for that, they like, all right, we're gonna slash the prices of all our heroes by 75%. So now it's like 15,000 for those two characters. But they didn't tell anybody. They didn't mention this, like I said, in the press release when they talked about they were also slashing the currency you get in the campaign by 75% to 5,000. Oh. So a little dastardly there, a little shitty there, but in the grand scheme of things, not nearly as big a deal as Metasure going on. So other people did some math, did some research into it. To unlock, I was looking at the multiplayer stuff and all the things you can earn, and like in the emotes, or in the loot boxes, you get like emotes, you get like weapons, you get special effects you can do. You can earn different like costumes. It has like thousands upon thousands of things you can earn, and you can get duplicates. So and also you get crafting points, which you need crafting points to upgrade your abilities, which makes a pretty big difference looking at some of those abilities you can get over in the grand scheme of things. And people did some research on it. And to unlock everything in this game, if you didn't get any duplicates, it would take you 6 months of gameplay.
Oh no!
To unlock everything in this game, or if you didn't get any duplicates, $2,100 in loot boxes.
$2,100.
$2,100 in loot boxes, with real money loot boxes. If you wanted to, if you didn't receive anything twice, that's what it would take you to do.
God,
6
what kind
months.
of a black market bullshit's this, man?
Yeah. So on Thursday night, they actually pulled the microtransactions for now.
Okay.
For now. In a press release from DICE, this is what they said. We've heard the concerns about potential giving players unfair advantages, and we've heard that this is overshadowing an otherwise great game. That's bullshit. This is never our intention. Sorry, we didn't get this quite right. You're goddamn right, you didn't get quite right. So yeah, this game, like I have said for the past couple months or so, when we talk since loot boxes and microtransactions have become the thing, is like if you guys want a game, buy the game. Just don't buy the loot boxes. You want to prove a point, and I said it last week on the show too, that they're not going to look at people that don't buy the game. They're going to look at people that bought the game and see what they did, whether they bought microtransactions, how many they bought, how did it work, if it didn't work, what didn't work, all that. I'm at the point now where I hope people just don't buy this game. And it sounds like so far, sales won't be out for a little bit on this, but so far it sounds like the sales are not being quite up to snuff. The actual EA's stock price went down 2% on Friday when they were expecting to go up a decent amount. When you got one of the biggest games of the year coming out, you expect a little jump in stock price, but they did not quite get that. It was so bad that the CEO of Disney had somebody come and contact EA about this earlier in the week about the concern of this. They got a big movie coming out in about a month, guys. And the last thing they want is people are going to hear Star Wars and all this shit. They're not going to think EA. They're going to look at Disney. So, yeah. A lot of crap going on, Gables.
Oh, definitely so. And this is exactly the type of thing that we knew eventually may happen, where some big profile game, AAA game, is going to get absolutely shat upon because of the implementation of the entirety of it, almost consistently dependent upon loot boxes. You know, and this is a good example of it. Star Wars Battlefront 2. That game was fundamentally structured so you shelled money in it so that you could actually get the most out of the game. Mm-hmm. Not only just out of the game, but it sounds like to me, it's like even so much though, you have to wait until you have to buy the fucking ending to the game. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You gotta have all your ducks in a row. You gotta have and make sure from day one that your consumer is going to play and enjoy this game to the fullest extent without having to pay for cookie-cutter bullshit like, say, extra chapters that were originally supposed to be in the game, or on-disc DLC.
Well, the DLC
you know, like
is going to be free. I forgot to point that out. So the story DLC will be free. That's just ridiculous to me that you're going to push that off a month. But go ahead.
Right. But just the fact that remains right now is, like, I really hope that the fall from Star Wars Battlefront 2 here actually affects the gaming industry to where we'll see less of this type of crap available. Because as far as this outpouring negative things that have happened, you know, like negative press that's been going on right here, I hope it gets bigger. Why? Because I want it to affect the gaming companies in a way where they're going to step back. I hope they step back from implementation so much of these fucking loot crate shit and not have it be as bad as what has happened right currently with Star Wars Battlefront 2. I mean, we're at a point now where we're just like a game or two away, a AAA game away, where potentially a lot of the pieces are just going to be decided upon just like pay in it, like with parts, say with just loot boxes. It's basically kind of like going back to what Jim Sterling has said previously in some of his more recent videos, to where certain AAA games feel like mobile games on your phone, iOS or like your tablet or whatsoever, and it's just there's a paywall that you got to go through to fully enjoy the game. Sort of like, well, there are some games, say like Clash of Titans and stuff, where you pay little bits here and there and stuff in order to progress further and stuff. The same can be made true for games like Star Wars Battlefront 2, to some extent Shadow of War, where the gameplay in and of itself is revolving around some form of a paywall. Yes, you can still play through the game completely without having to shell out money to it, but especially with Battlefront 2, it seems like to me, from hearing Tyler talk about it, from hearing other people around the know in the gaming industry talk about it, and especially seeing pieces of footage and all the glitches and all the random crap and all the other shit that's been going through with the game being out for 24 hours, it's more so apparent that this game was structured from the get-go to at least benefit from those who are going to spend the most. Just the game in and of itself structured around the concept of shelling so much for the loot crates, for the DLC, for everything else, just the most bang for your buck they wanted to try to suck out of you, pretty much.
Yeah, and it just sucks that, like, I've said for a long time, I'd rather have free maps, no season pass, free maps, all that shit.
Yeah.
New game modes for free, like Overwatch. It's always going to be the example. Obviously, it sucks that microtransactions are a thing, but we're in a world where it's going to be forever be a thing. That's it. They're the example. So they have perfected the loot box system, the microtransaction system. And Dan Reicher actually had a really good Twitter post about this. I think Thursday or Friday, whenever the news hit, and I talked about how this game is, without the microtransactions, without the loot boxes, without buying them, the progression in this game is fundamentally broken. Yep. The entire game was built around loot boxes, about earning them. And this was not only about loot boxes, and about how, it's not just about, there's loot boxes and there's so many things to unlock. It's that the fact that the things you get in those loot boxes fundamentally it is pay to win. I was looking at the abilities you unlocked, all the things you unlocked, the things you need to get to progress this game fast, if you press through it normally. If all that stuff was in there and there was no loot boxes, I'm like, ooh, that takes a long time to get that, but it's progression. We've all played. I beat Resident Evil 4 like 6 times to get the $1 million rocket launcher. That was the infinite rocket launcher, so I can run through the game, which is a rocket launcher. For this game is going to be built for it. The multiplayer is built for people to play continuously. It's like any other multiplayer game, big multiplayer game, and that's whatever. But the fact that all that you can buy all that shit in there and you could just take shortcuts throughout the entire thing is gross. And I was like, the campaign, it just feels like it's just a giant advertisement for loot boxes and the multiplayer, and to push you more and more that way. It's the gateway drug. It's like what I talked about last week with Assassin's Creed Origins, where they gave you 200 free Helix points that which are the real money currency in that game. They give you just enough to buy the cheapest thing on the menu, and it's just a way to get, because they want to give you a little bit more. And I told you guys, I said it. It tempted me to go ahead and spend a few bucks and get some more stuff out of the thing, but I didn't do it. Still haven't done it. And that's what this is. It's just everything is pushing you towards loot boxes, and it's, you can't escape it in this game. Like other games, you can kind of gloss over a little bit. But I've read multiple reviews. I've watched multiple reviews in this game. Everybody, it's the key thing, and when people talk about it, is the microtransactions. It's unavoidable. And I've heard people, like, now that we've kind of, I said we're kind of at this, like, I guess, for a lack of a better term, war with microtransactions, and where we're gonna stand. It's just, right now we're playing politics, and we got to come to a middle. You know, we gotta agree. Okay, you can have this. We'll give up this. You guys give up this. And we'll give you this. So you guys give up season passes. We'll give you loot boxes. You know, we'll give you cosmetics, but we're not gonna give you pay to win. You know, we gotta find a middle ground in there, and that's what we're trying to do right now. But they're just going way too far and trying to push for way too much at one time. But I've heard people online now bitching about how, like people are just being bullies to EA because it's EA. I'm like, no, no. EA has earned this reputation. Like, I love EA because they gave me Madden. Okay, I love EA because of that. But they earned this reputation. They have everything people say about them for the most part. No, I shouldn't say everything. But look, a good chunk of things people say negatively about them are true, and a lot of it is deserved. And it's just like, how many of those people that are complaining online about it are actually going to play this game? Well, hopefully when people read this news, not a lot. Because there's no reason to play this game when you got bullshit like that. Like, I that's the dumbest argument in the world to me, is like, people online complaining are probably never going to play that game. Well, I think when people read that, why would they want to play that game?
Exactly.
That's just going to turn people off. And I think EA came to their senses. They, because it really pisses me off when you think about it. Where like, people that played it on Tuesday. So the game came out Friday for the $60 edition. But if you wanted to play it on Tuesday, you had to buy the $80 edition. Which I read what came with the $80 edition. Doesn't give you any free like loot boxes or any currency or anything like that. It gives you nothing special for that shit. So even the most hardcore of the hardcore people didn't get anything special. And it just kind of fucked them over too. It's like, I paid $80 for this game, and now I don't get any special advantages or special things like that, which I'm glad they didn't. But the most hardcore people are being screwed over even more than the people that bought the game on Friday. It's just...
This is just a classic case of kind of like a snake oil salesman selling you something that you think is something fantastic, something wonderful, and all of a sudden you get it home, and all of a sudden it's just exactly what it is. Nothing special. It's just snake oil.
Yeah.
And quintessentially, EA's done something spectacularly snake oil-like, and somehow managing to create a much more worse product than the original Star Wars Battlefront, which that in and of itself is amazing to think about. We all complain about the original Star Wars Battlefront, the remade edition on the PS4, on the Xbox One, being a shell experience, which quintessentially it was. It was gutted and made you forced to buy the season pass, the DLC stuff. Then all of a sudden you get this game where you have a campaign, sure. Yet there are very much like elements where some of the DLC stuff will be free, like story-based stuff, like story-based maps or whatever. But now, in place of that, you got all of these microtransactions up top of loot crates, up top of all these other types of credits that you can buy main game. It's so convoluted with so much pay-to-win shit that it's fundamentally a worse game than the original Star Wars Battlefront that they had released a few years prior. That is just unacceptable.
Yeah.
Not just in a AAA space, but just as a video game in, just clear cut. Just balls to the wall, that is just plainly unacceptable as a consumer product. That is so anti-consumer that it's just begging for just like people to go and just go forth and just blackball not just blackball, but just cut out any type of emphasis on buying future EA games just because of that pinnacle bullshit,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I'm gonna mark this as a win for gamers. So far, we won the battle. I feel in this case, to kind of use. I mean, it's not a war, it's not a battle. I just can't think of a better term for it. But in the grand scheme of things, this is probably the best case scenario for what we had. And I hope, like I said, the microchip they're going to come back. They even said they're going to bring them back in a better way. Instead of being gross and predatory, they're going to be fun and addictive, so people will buy more. Maybe they'll come back as just cosmetics, but like I referenced with the Dan Reichert tweet about it's. The progression is now broken without these loot boxes and microtransactions. Loot boxes are still there. you can earn the credits and buy loot boxes with the credits you earn playing the game. But actually, a really shitty thing is that you get capped on how many credits you earn. So if you play for X amount of time, after a certain point, you can't earn any more credits for a certain amount of time.
Yep.
So you're still
cooldown.
So you're still leveling, but you're no longer earning credits, which is kind of the core mechanic to the game. Outside of leveling up, that actually earning credits might be more important than leveling up in this game.
Exactly.
So that's another gross thing they did to it. They did a free-to-play thing, like a tapper game. Like you look at like the Simpsons game where it's like, hey, well, you can't do anything for 5 minutes unless you give us $2, then you can play right now. And they did that. It's just, yeah, the whole thing is I just can't believe what they try to do and how they thought they can get away with it. It's just asinine to me.
It's like, what's going to happen now and stuff. Any other type of positive thing EA is going to attempt to do with this game, it's going to go on deaf ears. Why? Because the damage has already been done.
Yeah.
You've already released a product onto the market where it's been a whole bunch of predatory bullshit. You removed away the microtransactions temporarily to try to fix the darn product. But in hindsight, look at the situation that's presented now. You released a $60 product to where people want to avoid it now like the plague because the game is fundamentally broken with the glitches what they got. The game is out of whack in terms of progression because it's relied entirely upon the loot box and microtransaction crap. You now have the Disney CEO on your back because of the potential, like the bullshit that's went on into making this game in and of itself, and potentially losing the exclusivity deal, which at this point I kind of wish would happen because this is just dumb in and of itself. And EA has done everything in its power to almost guarantee they're going to Disney have just cut them off in general. But it's just the last thing and paid things to mind. Now people, it's the holiday season. They hear bad publicity or bad negative things about Star Wars Battlefront 2. Guess what? You're going to lose all that holiday money because gamers, we're going to go ahead, we're going to focus on everything else that's just released right here. We're going to get Wolfenstein 2. We'll probably pick up Assassin's Creed Origins or something like that. Or a lot of us are probably going to wait until Christmas, get a Switch, and then just buy all the various games that have released on that system for the past year because of all the potential hits there. Hell, a lot of us going through and stuff, we're just going to go to probably fucking Call of Duty or something like that, even though that has the fucking loot crate stuff falling from the damn sky.
Way better than what fuck Star Wars Battlefront 2 is doing, though.
Exactly. But the moral of the story is, I don't think EA can do anything at this point to salvage what they've already done with this game. The damage has been done. Gamers are now not going to either not buy it, or they're going to just trade it in mass, get their refunds, which by the way brings up the thing where people were complaining about like there not even being like a refund button on the damn EA's website, or it being conveniently hidden. That was a subject of debate this past week as well.
Yeah.
It didn't have to be this way.
No. They brought this on themselves.
Exactly.
This goes, people are pissed about it, and it sucks that the hardcore fans kind of got fucked the most, but
yep.
I've always been someone that hates the whole don't pre-order games agenda people do, but in this case, it's like, I could see why you don't pre-order games, or at least don't pre-order digital games, I guess. Yep. You don't get your money back when you pre-order them. So, it's been a rough road for EA since, they got Star Wars. Look at the 2 games they released so far. Mm-hmm. Battlefront was released early because they wanted to get out before the movie came out, and that game was a fraction of a game. Battlefront 2, loot box, microtransaction bullshit. But the thing that really upsets me more than pretty much anything is the fact that EA Motive, who was kind of the core people that worked on the campaign, and I feel bad for them in the sense that they had like about a year to work on this game to make the campaign, so they had no time. So it's hard to I'm ripping it, but the more you think about it, it's like, man, they probably did the best they could with what they had, and they probably had a decent story in mind, And I wouldn't be surprised, like, hey, we need Han Solo, we need Luke Skywalker, we need Kylo Ren, we need Leia. You know, like, we need all these cool characters that, because people don't want to do Star Wars if it doesn't have any cool characters that everybody loves in it, which is bullshit, because Rogue One's awesome and has none of the old characters in it. Yeah, so I feel like, but EA Motive was supposed to help Visceral make their game. And then at the last minute, I think it was mid to late last year, they pulled EA Motive to work on this game, the Battlefront 2 campaign. So now Visceral is gone. That game is scrapped. Who knows? Who knows what would happen with Visceral and their game at this point? Maybe Visceral's still around. Maybe that game is back on track and doing well. And it just sucks to know that we couldn't even get a half decent to good campaign out of this. We got a bad campaign and what sound like a pretty badass game canceled. And we got shitty loot boxes to show for it. So yeah, the whole thing sucks. But I'm glad, going back to the whole people being bullies on the internet. I'm gonna defend it in this. It's a case by case basis to me. In this case, I feel like the mass outrage for this online was fair and just, and people being out there shitty. And if there was really in fact death threats to EA, and it sounds like that actually wasn't the case to EA developers, fuck you guys. It's a video game. Like, we get mad about them, we get angry about them, but that's just dumb. Don't threaten people. It's a fucking game. I'm happy you're passionate about gaming, but cool your jets a little bit, okay, buddy? All right? Buy puppy. Much happier, trust me.
Or get yourself some serious mental help. Seriously.
That too. And a puppy.
And a puppy.
And a puppy. They do wonders. But moving away from all that, we talked about a little bit last week about the GameStop. They're doing the Power Pass, the rental service. GameStop has temporarily suspended the rental service. It actually had so they actually had a soft launch, I guess, earlier in the week in some places. And I guess they're going to refund those customers that paid for it. It was $60 for 6 months. They didn't really give a reason. They had a press release saying we have elected to temporarily pause the rollout of the new Power Pass subscription service based on a few program limitations we identified. We feel this is the right thing to do for now and to ensure that we are able to provide our guests an exceptional service. So Kotaku talked to a couple of GameStop employees, and the GameStop employees said that they think the retailer has informed staff that all the signs about the Power Pass program should be pulled down. Employees speculate the new rental service was suspended because the company's outdated computer system isn't capable of handling the new program.
Bullshit.
So, maybe true. I wouldn't be too surprised. That's kind of, I don't know. I don't know what to think about this. It's hard to say. I wouldn't be too surprised. Like, you're fucking GameStop, and you're gonna roll us out. You probably didn't think about. I doubt they thought about this a month ago. I know they didn't, because they're doing beta tests for this shit throughout the world over the summer. So you've had about 6 months to just have this running, and probably been thinking about it for a few months before that. And you just now, a week after you announced it, and a week before you're gonna launch it, you're like, oh shit, our computer system can't do this. So I don't know if I buy that, and they're not.
I don't buy it.
GameStop's not saying it. It's employees speculating it. I personally think it might have more to do with, like, they need to have some more ground rules about it, because it just feels like it's almost, to me, like a too good of a deal, in the sense that like I talked about last week about new games when they come out. Like, fucking Star Wars Battlefront 2 came out yesterday. Someone trades it in today, and they got one copy, and someone goes and rents it, and they hold that game for 6 months or for a month, and it's like, say they only get one copy of that or 2 copies of that in that first month, and one person's been hoarding it for a month. Like, how does that work? I don't know. I think I'm wondering if they have to, like, they're like, we gotta come up with some better ground rules for this stuff. Like, or maybe launch it later, like next year when the holiday season's over. I don't know. I thought we should mention it because since we talked about a decent amount last week. What about you, Gables?
It's obvious to me that it's just a restructuring of the ground rules of what they're trying to establish. I do not buy for a minute that it has to do with something with the computer systems. I think that's basically a front by the GameStop Corporation of itself in order to try to cover the fact that they probably discovered very late on after they announced it that, oh man, there are a bunch of problems, a little bit of holes inside the ground rules that they had initially. Because initially before, it's like somebody could rent a game. They could hold on to it for a very long time if they chose to, as long as they pay like that one-time fee of $60 and stuff for the 6 months. So what it seems like to me is they're probably going to manipulate how long you can have specific pre-owned games for rent, which wouldn't surprise me at all, because the average mom and pop shop that had like video rentals or like game rentals or something probably would be like a week or like 2 to 3 days in some cases. Yeah, giving a customer that much time, for like a month in order to rent a game or multiple games for $60, that like I said last week, that could be abused very easily. But it doesn't surprise me that they've suspended the thing up until a later point. So it's good on them that they're going to try to make it work with their system, but at the same time, I don't trust what they are going to eventually come up with, because it's either going to be us paying more for potentially having it for like maybe a full year, maybe like $80 to $100, possibly in the span of a year, in order to rent, like, say, a game, possibly for like about a month or two or something like that. It's something along those lines. It's just the fact that I'm not 100% sure they will actually go forth with better ground rules than what they had initially.
Yeah.
But at
they
the
didn't
same
really have
point,
any rules before.
they didn't really have. That's the thing. They didn't have any ground rules before, and now that they've managed to go back after announcing it, they're probably going to add a ton of stipulations in order to try to make this seem workable to their system, which means that it's probably going to be worse than an average mom and pop shop, in my personal opinion.
Yeah. I still generally like the program. It's not for me. I said last week, it's not for me. I'm typically someone that buys their games, buys the games when they first come out. I pre-order most of my games. But I still think it's a good idea. And think about it from another standpoint, actually. This isn't my idea. I heard someone else say this. But the fact that they bought ThinkGeek, so they do all like the merchandising stuff. They own, like, you walk into a GameStop now, and everybody talks about, like, a third of the store is now like T-shirts and coffee cups and action figures and statues and shit like that now. So now it's like little tiny things that you can just like, like, ooh, cool, I'm gonna buy that, So now, like I said, like, someone might go to that store like once, 2, 3, 4 times a month to rent games out, and they're gonna walk by that stuff, 30, 40 times over that course of 6 months. If they buy 2 or 3 things from that while they're walking by, or they pick up another game, they buy another game while they're in there during that time, that's got to be a win. I think this could still be a cool thing. I thought this would be a cool Christmas present for a lot of people. Like, I don't, like, for an older person buying for their grandkid or their son or daughter or whatever. And it's like, I don't know what game to get you, so I got you this so you can play all the games you want. It's like, I still think it needs some ground rules. Looking at, like, it's too consumer friendly to me as far as the program goes.
Right.
I think they need to lay some ground rules out. I'm curious to see what happens when and if it comes back out. Should be interesting.
Definitely.
Yeah. But Gables?
I
think that might wrap up the show this week.
Holy shit, already.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. It flew by. The hour flew by. Not really a lot going on. Kind of the end of we're getting towards that end of the year, so all the big games. I think Star Wars Battlefront 2 was like the last big game to come out this year, AAA wise. So Gable and I were talking a little bit before the show. We're already talking about Game of the Year stuff, man.
Definitely
It's crazy. We're making plans for when we're gonna do all that, and it's gonna be yeah. I think the next month or so is probably not gonna be a lot of news. It's gonna be Gables and I and probably Justin and whatever playing through those games for Game of the Year. We've got a little over a month left before that happens. So yeah, it's expect a lot of that. A lot of us going back playing through our backlog. I know I still have a few games. I've been saying for almost a year now. I need to get back to Resident Evil 7. I really want to play some more of that for the end of the year, so I can talk about that. I hope maybe it might show up in the Game of the Year. Who knows? But yeah, it's gonna be a fun next month or so.
Oh my God, yeah, it's gonna be plenty just to go forth and just catch up on everything.
Yeah, and here in a few days we're gonna be eating turkey and ham and watching football. Man, it's gonna be an awesome next week. I'm sure next weekend. I'm excited about it. No work Friday, no work Thursday. All the football and delicious food I get to eat. I'm excited.
Except for me, where it's like, hey, I don't have work Thursday, but I go Friday because it's the freaking retail Black Apocalypse, Black Friday stuff.
I'm so happy I don't work in retail.
Yeah. I know. I kind of feel the same way sometimes. Yeah.
It's cool because this is my first job where we don't have to work for Black Friday.
That's awesome.
Believe me, I understand it sucks. We're like, you got Thursday off, and then you go back to work on Friday. I'm like, I don't want to go back to work for a day. But yeah, no, it's I'm excited for next weekend. But anyways, thank you guys for listening. If you guys want to hear more from us or talk to us more often, we are on Facebook page and group, Drunk Nerds Podcast on that, Drunk Nerds Podcast on there. Like and join us on Twitter at Drunk Nerds Pod. Follow us on there. On YouTube, it is Drunk Nerds. Subscribe to us on there. And if you're watching the video, listening to us on there, because it's not actually video, the podcast goes up on there. Give us a thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. Leave a comment. And on iTunes, Drunk Nerds Podcast. Subscribe to us on there. Leave us a 5-star review. And if you can leave us a comment, we'd also greatly appreciate that. And on Twitch, we're Drunk Nerds Podcast. Follow us on there and send us a friend request. We like friends. Friends are good. But other than that, I think I covered everything. I was your host, I was Tyler.
And I have been Colonel Gables. So until next week, everyone, enjoy your holiday, drive safely, and among all else, game on.
Game on! Bye, guys. Excuse me. You too many beers there. Anyways, we're on iTunes now, so go on there, check us out, and if you like us, leave us a review, and we'll even shout you out. And Jack will send you his credit card number.